Seconds is when we start this podcast. 28 seconds is when we start this show because the Bears scored 28 points this weekend against the Detroit Lions to claim victory number 2 in a row. 2 in a row for the – oh, my God, 2 in a row? Oh, my gosh. How long has it been since the Believe in Monsters podcast has talked about 2 victories in a row? Welcome in. We had to do it on Wednesday because we were all so inebriated from Monday that we had to get our lives back together on Tuesday, figuring out what in the world happened over the weekend. The Chicago Bears beating the Detroit Lions. Yes, the 9-win Detroit Lions. They beat them 28-13. The Bears now 5-8, still in the basement of the NFC North. But the Bears, Lucas Berry and Chris Krogman, as you guys tune in to the Believe in Monsters podcast for another episode, follow us at BIM_pod. We're part of the Believe Broadcasting Network. Lucas Berry, the Bears are officially in the hunt.
Yeah, we need an audio sounder that says that. In the hunt. Pretty sweet. Yeah, they're right in the thick of it. I mean, that was a fun game Sunday. I don't know. I feel like the Bears have owned Jared Goff, I think, pretty badly. I think since he's been in the league, even when he was on the Rams. Remember that?
Oh, the Rams. Yes, got after him pretty good on that Sunday night, was it? A Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, that frigid Sunday night.
Yeah.
What's up, Chris?
Nothing. Just basking in the warm feels of this cold winter wind as we pretty much smacked Detroit in the mouth. That was pretty fun. That was a good time. That's a good football team, and
we did
second
all
time.
Over them.
Second time in a few weeks that we've. I mean, in all honesty, we dominated the first game. We just fell apart at the end of the first one, up 17 points with like 4 minutes left. So yeah, good stuff. Big win. Lots to talk about as far as the future. Joe, did you happen to listen to last week's episode at all with Lucas and I? Covering for your ass while you were sleeping?
No, I did not. What did y'all talk about? It was a bye week.
We talked about the Bears.
Did you?
The Chicago Bears
beating
the
Vikings. Did y'all call a victory? Did y'all both?
No, I think I had a no. Yeah, wait.
No, we both had close.
No, I thought I said 21-20 Bears win on a Justin Fields game-winning drive.
Oh wait, yeah, you did say that. You did say we're going to go full homer the rest of the year. I do remember that.
Well, why wouldn't he go full homer the rest of the year? Look at the last 4 weeks, guys. Yeah, obviously the Panthers stink, but you beat the Panthers. The aforementioned Lions game at Ford Field that you guys just hit on. You were up big on them. Then you beat the Vikings in an ugly-ass game. And then really, oh my gosh, guys, did the Bears look like a complete football team, look like a competitive football team at really all 3 levels? Impressive football, largely from the Bears on Sunday. So you're on a 4-week stretch where you could be 4-0, and you look at the last part of this schedule, things get interesting for our Bears, Luke.
Yeah, we got the Browns coming up this week, but apparently half their team is on IR, so this is going to be an interesting game
right here. I'm just kind of saying, wow, look at the like story of the season.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, but to your point, the last 4 games are very winnable, so that's why I'm getting excited here. What are you going to say, Chris?
That there were words and now they are gone. I don't don't know. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Well, I think I do think something you said a few weeks ago has kind of stood with me, in that the players haven't quit on Eberflus. And I mean, you're totally right. Just the way they talk about him, the way they back him up, use his quotes and press conferences and that kind of stuff is pretty interesting. And now we're really seeing, a team who hasn't really quit on him, and if anything, are playing better than they ever have for him. So, I think you were spot on when you mentioned that a few weeks ago, Chris.
It's always interesting to get inside the locker room perspective from anywhere. Obviously, the only place you can get is like Bears beat writers or if somebody Instagram lives Kyle Short, but like it seems like it's a completely different world. Like the media and the fans can all have one opinion of what's happening inside of a locker room, and in reality, they could be right, but a lot of times they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue what they're talking about, and they're just speculating, and they're going off of what they think, how they would feel in those situations, how they think other people feel in those situations. But I mean, clearly this is a team that has not quit on their coach or each other. So last 4 weeks are going to be interesting. I am still very cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm not going to make myself look stupid on Twitter. So, yeah, it'll be good times.
Now, Joe, I think you were with me in that, we said before that we didn't think Eberflus could save his job. And now, obviously, the Bears win 2 in a row with a favorable schedule coming up, and they are in the thick of the hunt, quote unquote. Joe, do you think, today, are you any more swayed that Eberflus can keep his job?
Yes, he absolutely can keep his job. And that's kind of like gut check yourself. Look at all of ourselves. We've been talking and banging this fire Eberflus drum for probably 4, 5, 6 weeks or so.
Not Chris.
Longer
Not
for
Chris.
Me. Not Chris. Well, longer for me, really. And if you got the Browns last 4 weeks. You go 3-1. You finish at 8-9. Like that's not going to get it done. But if you go 4-0 and things break your way, you're in the playoffs. Like even if you go 3-1 and you finish 8-9, Chris's big thing has been, you double the wins. You double the wins. Well, at 8-9, what's that from last year? You won 3 games last year, so almost tripled your wins. I think that we need to settle in and get comfortable with the idea that Matt Eberflus probably isn't going anywhere, because I'm not really afraid of the Cardinals, the Falcons, or the Browns. And I mean, the Packers suck, but the Packers are what they are. They're probably going to beat you on the last week. So, no, I think that's a dangerous proposition that I think Eberflus is going to be involved in this team going forward. But I think that once he achieves the feat of going back-to-back wins, he's going to be, if he can keep the momentum up, he might be safe.
It is kind of crazy how one win sparks all this, but obviously there's more context to this than just that. I mean, what do you think, Chris? This defense has probably been, top 10 in the past month at least?
Top 5, dude. Top 5.
Yeah, they've been
points allowed. They're great. Other than the massive collapse of Detroit, but that's a top 10 offense. It's funny. Defense. No, I'm saying Detroit's top 10
that we
offense.
Shut down. Yeah, I got you.
This week we did, but we collapsed a couple weeks ago. Anyway, I think 7-10, he keeps his job. If we want to give players a bunch of, caveats around this is rebuilding. They don't have anything around them. Nobody to block, nobody to throw to, blah, 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 blah. The same has to be said for a coach that's dealing with a rebuilding roster, right? Last year, we talked about how disciplined they were and how well they, still rallied to the ball, still played hard. They were in a shit ton of games last year that they eventually
and that's what
lost.
We're seeing now.
And now we're seeing the same thing. I joked about somebody saying that the amount of penalties on this team is really comes down to like being a young team, and I still think that is on coaching, but it does take experience at the NFL level to start to understand how to not get penalties, like especially Tyreek Stevenson. Darnell Wright's had a few. Braxton Jones has got to clean his shit up, man. Like that dude, he has to get better in that department for being a second-year guy. But I mean, I think the real question is going to come down to below Eberflus, because now I'm more or less convinced neither him or Poles are going anywhere. Which, what a fucking 180. Jeez Louise.
It is crazy. But
why did it take us 9 weeks to get here, though? You look at the last 4 weeks.
Exactly.
Why did it take us 9 weeks to get here?
The first 5 weeks were so bad that's what we were saying. Like, this guy, there's no way this guy can return. It was just like, where was the continuity between last year and like the beginning? Like, whatever happened was weird because
I just don't understand. Like, I just don't understand how they take so long to make adjustments. It's like they have no plan B or C or D or double Z. You can't freaking go into a game and just be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And if it doesn't work, we're going to do it again and again and again and again. And that's what it seemed like they did for like the first 5 weeks. I think Adam Hogue spoke to it that they're essentially throwing Justin out there and making him do what they want him to do. And that's it. Like, as the real test, can he be a drop back passer? And they just beat their head against the walls about it. And if they wouldn't have done that and just kind of reverted back to last year's offense, or at least hybrid built the two together, this is already a 7-win team, most likely. 2 more wins, that's easy, dude. Like,
well, shit, we can count 3 right off the rip. You can count the Broncos, the Vikings the first time, and the Lions the first time.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, all those games were close games where we were leading. At least, I don't think we ever led in that first Vikings game, but it was still, 19-13, something like that.
6-point game.
Yeah, they covered. I guarantee they covered. So yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere unless there's a total shit show collapse again, and then which is totally possible. I mean, it is the Bears, so.
Yeah, here's the biggest question: is are we going to pick the Bears to win 3 in a row, pressure luck, and win 3 in a row? We're not there yet on the Brown talk. Let's talk about some guys that stood out for you over the weekend, Luke. I mean, you have a big old win against the Lions. What are some of the guys that maybe it tickled your fancy and said, "Oh, I like that guy. I like that play. We need to see more of it."
Flappy Bird Brisker. Sometimes you see these flashes out of him. Like this week, he looked like one of the best safeties in the league. And you get those flashes from him a lot, but he's just kind of inconsistent back there, especially in pass coverage. But, I mean, that dude racked it up this week, 17 tackles. He was flapping all over the field. I know that, dude, what is that dance? You're right, Chris. It's like, it's the least intimidating. Like, you just killed the dude behind the line of scrimmage, and you're just flapping your wrist like you're not flexing or something, dude.
Well, like he did like a bow and arrow one.
Yeah, the arrow one's cool.
That one's cool, but like I don't even know what he's alluding to. Like maybe there's some reference that we're unaware of that he's alluding to that we're just not in with whatever culture he's referencing or song or music video or I don't know what the hell's happening, and I don't know what it is. I just like to call it Flappy Bird because I don't know what he's doing. My father-in-law was making fun of him. He was watching the game with me. He's just like, what is that?
He can do whatever he wants if he's going to have 17 total tackles
exactly.
and break up a bunch of passes.
Yeah, I don't care. Do your thing.
I mean, Joe Gaither, I mean, you could almost give a game ball to this entire defense, though. The linebackers have been awesome. Tremaine Edmonds finally starting to come into his own, and TJ Edwards has just been a beast for the Bears all year long. I mean, how about Montez Sweat? Everyone said, a second-round pick is too rich, and they got the extension done, and that dude is just – I don't know. Ever since he's been here, the D-line has actually been racking up sacks. They're getting pressures left and right, and then just like you said, Chris, like the same thing about Fields being, them trying to use him as a drop back pass or whatever, failed experiment. Dude, I'm seeing Eberflus draw up some of these crazy blitzes that I would never imagine him draw, like 7-man pressures on third down. Like, who the hell is this guy and where was he at the beginning of the year? Like,
he was in a different body and his name was Alan Williams.
Well, dude, it's just like why did it take them so long to adjust? Why?
No idea. You got to, I mean, if you're polls, you got to be asking. That's the question you got to be asking is like, what is this? I heard an interesting quote. Maybe I said this to you last week, Luke, as well. There are no, what is it? It's basically like there are no bad employees, only bad leaders. So essentially there are no bad, players, only bad leaders.
Yeah.
It makes me think a lot about, this situation, specifically with Fields, and anybody developing on this team. And you mentioned Tremaine Edmonds, Lucas, and I heard something, I think maybe it was Josh Lucas talking on Spiegel and Gollum or whatever the fuck that show is.
Perkins and Spiegel.
Yeah, sure. Perkins and Spiegel. One show to rule them all. So he was saying that, sometimes a guy will go to a new team and it'll take him almost an entire season to kind of get acclimated before they really see the fruits of the signing, and that maybe Tremaine Edmonds would fall into that bucket because it didn't look good early. So I'm glad to see he's playing well. Montez Sweat, man, he's fun. He's a fun player. He does it all. He's not just a pass rusher. He sets the edge. He hustles. He backs his team up. Like,
oh yeah, dude. When he was on the sideline, he was yelling at the dude.
Yeah, freaking. When Mooney got blasted for like being a yard out of bounds, Montez Sweat was one of the first ones up in dude's grill. Was it Anzalone or whatever?
Anzalone, Alex Anzalone. Yep.
Yeah. Looking like Van Ginkel out there. Can't keep them apart. Yeah. I love Montez Sweat. That was a great deal.
Cornerbacks.
Corners were great. Dude, JJ's causing problems for us now because he is just earning more and more money every week. Can you imagine? I mean, if he'd have taken the first Lions pick, if he'd have got that pick 6, and then I think there's one against Minnesota too, like,
oh my God,
dude, he's just like, he can ask to reset the market now. Like he said, he wasn't trying to the first time. And then I think the second time on, again, the Perkins and Spiegel show said, well, yeah, I think I agree that I can reset the market. So good job, Ryan. That one you kind of dropped the ball on, but hey, you had to find out, you had to know. Now, get it done. Spend that money. You got all that cap. You got to hit that cap floor anyway. Might as well just give it to JJ. I freaking said that. Like, he's the only one out of the 3 I was absolutely convinced with to re-sign, and they went with Cole, and that's fine. I like Cole. He's earned that contract even after getting it. Joe?
What's the question?
I don't think there was one. Well, I'm just rambling. You asked who stood out to us. For me, it was Sweat and Flappy Bird for Lucas. I thought DJ had a good game.
Always.
Always good. Cole had some good catches. That dude is like automatic for his props. If you bet props, bet Cole Kmet's props, because I think his catches are like almost always 3.5, and his yardage is under 40, and he crushes it like every week. So there you go. Go make some money. But yeah, Joe, what about you? Who stood out for you?
To me, I thought. I mean, Luke Getsy stood out to me at times. Obviously, the first half, the first drive of each of the halves, it turned out to be pretty instrumental. I felt like Detroit did a really good job bottling up quarterback runs, but in pass protection and scramble mode, Justin, that's where he got loose. I don't know. I mean, obviously, DJ Moore with the fourth down touchdown reception and with the end around touchdown, a guy that we always hate on, or I will own it, that I always hate on. Velus Jones stepped in at a moment where DJ Moore was a little bit hurt and was taking a couple of plays off, and he had a 2nd and 6 reception. He had two or three receptions on that drive before DJ came back in, and that's nice to see. I don't really expect him to be anything ever for this program, but nice to see that. I thought really the defensive line as a whole. I mean, Luke already hit it, but the defensive line as a whole played largely on the other side of the Detroit line of scrimmage. And everything that you always hear about Detroit is, oh, their offensive line is so good. Their offensive line is so good. But whether the scheme is, oh, we're going to play one gap, and so we're all going to penetrate through that one gap, or whether they're two gapping, and most of the time they were one gapping, but like you got guys on the other side of the line of scrimmage, and yeah, Detroit gapped you out a couple of times through the game, but not consistently enough to make it a thing. They got a couple of big runs, maybe 3 runs of over 15 yards or so, but most of it was pretty sound, and we're going to get in your way, and you can't cut back on us. And, Gibbs is pretty fast. I was pretty – you got fortunate with the fumble, with the Jared Goff fumbled snap. But those things are going to happen. Good for you. You got to take advantage of them.
They oftentimes happen to us.
Yeah. Justin Fields is just so crazy, man, because in the first half, he looked so scattered and like off, but he still produced because of some of his amazing athletic plays. And so all this comes down to, I'd like to make the playoffs. I would, but I'm also looking at draft position, and we're also kind of thinking that this isn't really a Super Bowl team, but it's fun to win. Hell, it's a whole lot more fun to win 2 in a row than to lose. We know that, but goodness gracious, you think about Justin, what he's going to be. And we've kind of danced around Matt Eberflus coming back. And it's like, you win these last 4 games, or you get the Bears into playoff contention, and you talk about, it often takes a guy a whole year to get comfortable. Well, he's now his whole year with DJ Moore and whole year with Darnell Wright. And, what does that do when you bring in a guy like Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Brock Bowers or a Olu Fashad? It's just some big time.
2 of them.
Oh, yeah, or 2 of them, exactly. Does that just continue the ascension, or do you give up on him? I mean, I think that always is going to be the question over the last, not just 4 weeks, but over the next 3.5 months. So, it's fun to win. I thought that the guys played well. I thought Justin gave him about a B+. He had a couple of reads that he missed, a couple of passes that he missed, but largely, even in his, oh my gosh, I'm frantic, get behind the line and then run, even though you're dealing with some of that, you look at the bottom line, and the bottom line is 28 points. The bottom line is a handful of long extended drives. And the bottom line is, you didn't have any turnovers, did you? Yeah, no turnovers. You almost had that sack fumble, but it went your way. It was nice to see, considering what Detroit has has been for the first. I know Detroit's on the downturn a little bit, but they were 9-3 now over the first 12 weeks. So, it's nice to get one of the good teams.
Finally,
yeah, for sure. I'm still bouncing around this question, about Justin. And for me, a lot of it starts with, Luke Getsy. Everybody and their mom on Bears Twitter hates Luke Getsy. But, I mean, if Eberflus is back, I don't see how Poles is going to force him to fire Getsy. If we're sticking to the narrative of it's rebuilding, then as you just said, Joe, it's his first year with DJ Moore at at his disposal with Darnell Wright blocking, with Nate Davis blocking. Another dude, Donta Foreman's been great. Deontay Foreman, whatever. I don't understand why Khalil Herbert didn't game. That was super weird to me, unless he was, unless he had a setback with his injury. But I mean, so like we were talking, like I can't remember who I was going back and forth on Twitter with, but like at one point in that game before was it the Vikings game that was all the field goals? The Bears were 6th in red zone touchdown percentage. So that's a pretty big indicator to me. Is once you get down there, you can get it done. I think that's a pretty big deal. I think, Joe, you touched on it, and I think every first drive of the last 4 games has looked fantastic. I think Getsy has come up with a lot of good plays. Justin missing these throws would make Getsy look even better. I mean, if he hits DJ Moore on that 20-yard in or whatever, and it just – so then that brings me to Justin. And if you're going to keep Fields, like why put another new offensive coordinator in front of him? His third one in 4 years.
Don't Jay Cutler that boy.
Don't Jay Cutler that kid. So then it comes down to, okay, if we give Justin everything, give him the keys to the Ferrari, give him Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers, or Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors, or the Washington kid.
Rome Odunze.
Yeah, that kid's a beast. Can't remember. I thought it was I want to say Azuna from the Braves every time I see that kid's name. But or and you can win with Justin. It's okay. Like you can win with him. Or do you take whichever quarterback you like better and say, okay, we think we can level up here at the quarterback position, and Getsy's offense is now on fire. I mean, what do Getsy and Eberflus try to tell Poles? Like, hey, like if you want to go out and get playmakers, we want Justin, or are they going to say, hey, this would have been a lot better with a better quarterback, and you take advantage of Justin playing well these last 4 weeks and you move him. I think one of the biggest wrinkles in all of it too is the contract situation. Justin has not given me enough to absolutely, sign him to a long-term deal, give him $40-50 million. But then again, well, I don't want to get in a Tommy DeVito situation. We're just rolling out the most random Italian we can find. But
now here's a question I was actually thinking about. Now, we kind of know what Ryan Poles' philosophy is, right? He kind of has his value in his head, and he doesn't pay you really much more than what he has in his mind, or at least that's kind of the impression he gives us. So, like, when it comes to the quarterback, right, and how inflated the market is, don't you think it's entirely possible that he would be like, this is the going rate for a quarterback, but Justin Fields isn't worth the $45 million a year or whatever?
Yes.
100%. Absolutely.
Yes, I think the most likely scenario.
I think that's kind of a wild card that people aren't considering. I think people are just like, oh, you keep Fields, you're automatically going to give him that contract. But
no.
If Poles has shown us anything, he's not going to overpay according to what the market or another team dictates.
The biggest problem is like if you keep Fields and you take two good players, they're probably going to win more games. Next year they're probably going to win more games, right? And you're not going to be in this position again. And then, next year it's not that much better. It's incremental improvements. I just don't know if you're ever going to see enough of a leap to get you to Super Bowl contender. I just don't know. And you're not going to get there again.
This brings me to another question I had, and I posted on Twitter. let's say the Bears do end up with the first pick and they choose to stick with Justin. Would you try and stay in the top 3 to definitely get Marvin Harrison, or would you try and move back further to maybe get insurance the next year with more first-round picks? Maybe you get a pass rusher and, you move out of the top 3 and just get a huge haul of picks. Would you rather do that, or would you rather take Harrison?
Who's at 3? The Patriots? You got to be sure the Cardinals aren't going to take Harrison. I mean, if that's your target.
They would. They would. I guess, you just stay where you can get him. So just say you move with the Patriots 1 spot to 2. You get a minimal. You get.
Oh, if the Patriots are 2?
Say you get 2 second-round picks and a third or something like that.
No, man, Harrison. There's no way. You could sell the Patriots on. Look what I did last year. I'm willing to drop down 9 spots to get.
All right, listen. I'm giving you a hypothetical.
I said yes to the Harrison thing. Yes.
All right,
that was my answer.
But I guess my point is, if that's the case, you're not giving yourself insurance in case Fields doesn't pan out by not getting those high first-round picks the following year. Hypothetically,
I think you load up on the most assets that you can. And really, Luke, you and I have talked about it before. Everybody's in love with Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's the truth. He's the bee's knees, absolutely. But you can drop out to 8 or 9 or 12 or whatever. You can take yourself Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, and you can basically, stack your first round picks and say, it's not Marvin Harrison, but it is Malik Neighbors, and it is another big time weapon. And he may not be the 1.1, but he's the 1.2, 1.3 or whatever, and he still can. I mean, really and truly, what you got to do is because Mooney's probably going to be coming back, likely. But I
don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right, great, even better. Then you have to replace him. The point, though, if he was going to come back he's on his last 4 games of his deal, so he's got to get worked out. And if you bring him back, you want to move him to wide receiver 3. You don't want to use him anymore as wide receiver 2. You want to be down. You want to be bumping him down the depth chart based on skill. And there's a couple wide receivers that aren't named Marvin Harrison Jr. that can do. Now Marvin would be.
See that's the thing though, Joe. There is nothing in the draft that is a sure thing. But there's probably not as sure of a thing as anyone in recent memory is Marvin Harrison being good at it. He's going to be probably a Pro Bowl player immediately.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm kind of on the fence where, you can just keep stacking these picks, but at some point you need to take the blue chip talent. You need to get the blue chip talent.
Yes.
You can't just keep adding red players or whatever they call them.
Sure. And if you take the Patriots, whatever, you take Harrison. Who cares what else you get out of it?
Same could be said if they wanted to take a quarterback, honestly. This Justin is good. We could trade him, get extra assets, and then this guy we think is a blue caliber quarterback. We have Justin in a tier below that. I mean, that's also a decision they'll have to make.
Who's to say you couldn't trade the second pick is what I was gonna say. Because if you take Harrison Jr. and you're at 8, 9, 10, whatever, trade back, get assets that way, you could still do that too. First round picks are still paid for that kind of.
I mean, if you're going from 1 to 2, I mean, the ideal scenario is to go from 1 to 2 and then to go from 2 to 3. Basically by stacking picks that way, by saying, hey, we're going to take Caleb Williams, Arizona. We're going to take Caleb Williams and Patriots. And then you don't, and you move from 1 to 2, and you say, oh, we're going to take Drake May, Arizona. We're going to take Drake May, New England. And you move down again. And that's the way you do it. And then you're at 3, you take Drake May. You're at 3, you take Marvin Harrison Jr. Whatever you want to do. You've moved down. I mean, that's the Madden move, and obviously that's not really the most realistic, but that's the ideal.
It always takes 2 to tango.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the 49ers had the Bears believing that they were had somebody on the line for Mitchell Trubisky on that, in 2017.
Yeah. I know weird things happen, but I feel like it's almost a lock that Harrison will be on the Cardinals if they stay at 3 is basically what I'm saying. Like Kyler looks pretty good. They really don't have any receivers. It just makes too much sense for them to take him there. That's all. We'll see what happens though. Maybe they win another game and get out of that spot.
Well, guys, we're at 25 minutes in. Y'all want to talk about the Browns, or you got something else on your mind before we get to old Joe Flacco?
The Browns are beat up. They're on the ropes.
Yeah, not good. The Bears took a little bit of a hit recently. Yannick Ngakoue broke his ankle, so that's going to be something we have to deal with now on the IR for him. We haven't mentioned that quite yet, and that is really sad. But we are Montez Sweat men, so that's okay. Bears are going to Cleveland, 3-point underdog. Going to play at noon. ESPN Analytics has the Browns 57.4% to win, and the over-under looks like 38.5.
Shit, dude, I'll still go under that.
This is the game I've had circled for a while that I really want to see as a true test for the Bears. Like, I would say the Browns, before all their injuries, were probably a threat to go to the AFC Championship. Now I think they're still a good team, but obviously they lost a lot of talent. But this was really my kind of big measuring stick for Fields and Eberflus, and how they come out to this game will really – obviously I know the roller coaster, the ride of people going up and down and back and forth on these guys, but, I mean, this is truly the a big test for them down this stretch here. This and the Green Bay game, hopefully that's meaningful, but I think both of them have to play pretty well to convince upper management to keep them longer this week.
Who? What'd you say?
Flus and Fields. I
Okay.
think this is a huge week for him. Good defense. Fields normally doesn't play well versus good defenses.
They're going to scheme him out. It'll be zone
Flus needs to
coverage.
show us he can continue coaching well versus good teams.
It'll be zone coverage all day.
Yeah.
It'll be the Cleveland front four coming after you.
Yeah, it's nearly as scary as last time. Only problem is Jones versus Garrett's not great, but it'll be all right. It'll be interesting. I think you're right, Lucas. I think this is the best test, at least down the stretch, for Fields. He did better the second time around against the Vikings, so it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be really up to. I think so. Back to my Getsy point. Where are you guys at on the Getsy thing? You didn't even fucking really. You just went on your own goddamn question, Lucas. Where are you at on Lucas Getsy right now?
I mean, I agree with you. We kind of talked about this last week. I think he's a pretty decent offensive coordinator. I don't think his style meshes well with Fields, but I totally agree that you can't really yank him out from under Fields if you decide to go forward with that, just because there is something to be said about continuity.
So let's say you move on from Fields, and you're gonna bring a quarterback. Like, are you saying that you want a new coordinator at that point because Getsy's system wouldn't work with a quarterback that would fit his style?
But you're keeping Flus? Is that your question?
You're keeping Flus. You're moving on from Fields. Poles and Flus have said no more Fields. And Getsy's the question mark. But you're saying that Getsy and Fields don't mesh well. So if you're getting rid of Fields, are you saying that if we
I would
find
get
a
rid of
quarterback,
Getsy.
both? Interesting.
I would get rid of both. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm kind of to the point where I think Getsy stays regardless. I know Bears fans are going to hate that, but whatever. He's going to throw more screens than you want to deal with, but fucking whatever, dude. Anyway, so where are we at? The Browns? Yeah. Yeah, Getsy. Okay, so it's going to be up to Getsy to scheme good plays against this Brown defense. I'm pretty sure they can get run on. If I'm not mistaken, that is their kind of
Browns
Achilles.
gave up a ton of points to the Jags.
So, I mean, it's a very winnable game. The Bears can run the ball against them, then I think they're in. I think they have a good shot at doing pretty well against this team. Joe,
But this is what I was trying to say though too. Is like this is a winnable game, but you are an underdog. You're going on the road. There's some chatter about playoffs. Like this is where I want Fields to step up and be like he can win me, and I think a lot of people back this game if he plays well.
mm-hmm.
But I don't want to get my hopes too high just because we haven't seen it consistently. It's like we always go 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, and then all the excuse warriors come out, and then he'll play well versus Arizona or something, and it'll be like, well, now what do we do? No, prove it to me that this is the week, man. You have to step up here versus a good defense and have a decent game.
I'm going to go 1917 Browns.
Well,
Right on the number. Right on the 38 number. I'll go, 19th. I think that, for all the reasons, Luke, that you just outlined, everything's starting to trend the right way for the Bears. We've done this before. We did this right before the Chargers game where the Bears should have played a whole lot better against a team that really wasn't that great. And then they put out and basically beat the heck out of you. Yeah, I think it's probably, game time weather. It says it's going to be in the 40s. And, it doesn't look like it's going to be crazy. But I just feel like this is going to be a situation where the Bears have built a little bit of momentum against, 2 teams in your division. You're feeling good about yourself. It's time to come back down to earth. And I'm predicting the Browns do that probably in some sort of heartbreaking fashion.
She said 1917 Browns?
Brownies, 1917.
So just looking at, just to kind of put a bow on the defense of the Browns, they're 14th against the opponent's rushing yards per rush at 4.1. They're 14th, so middle of the pack. They're about 11th in yards per game, 24th in opponents rushing TDs a game. They give up 1 rushing TD a game, but their pass defense is stupid sick. They are number 1 in opponent completion percentage at 56%. They are number 3 in yards per pass, number 1 in passes a game, number 1 in passing yards a game at 160. That's gross. Number 4 in opponent's interception throw percentage at, and then number 1 at QB sack percentage. And the Bears are 26th in QB getting sacked percentage. So Fields is in for a test with that department. We're making guesses. 38. Seventeen, 14 Bears. 17-13 Bears. We're not giving up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm actually ready to take the Bears again. I think things are trending well for the Bears this week, especially with all the Browns injuries. I think the defense will play well enough for them to win. I'm going to say 20-17 Bears.
Let's go. Let's go Bears. What other do we have any other meaningful games this weekend? Joe, who do the Panthers?
They play the Saints.
No, the Panthers.
The Falcons.
Atlanta in Carolina. Detroit plays Denver. Denver's very hot right now, which is fucking weird. Green Bay has Tampa Bay at Lambeau. That's meh. They'll probably win that game.
The Chiefs are going to beat the heck out of the Patriots. 49ers are going to beat the heck out of the Cardinals.
Dallas-Buffalo should be a good game. That's probably the game of the week. But Minnesota's off this week, I take it. Nope, they have Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati can win that game. It's weird. Like, there's a lot of like the Bears need some help to get into the playoffs if that is the conversation. But there's plenty of ways that they could get helped.
Yeah.
Like, I think the rest of the division could. Well, I don't think Green Bay's losing, but anyway.
The Rams play the Washington Commanders as well. That'll be important for playoff position, but I think the Rams will win.
Yeah, the Manders have the fourth pick, sixth pick, fifth pick, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and they have to travel cross country, so
it's always easier to travel west, though.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to just throw for 1,000,000 yards on them.
Probably.
Puka Nashua.
The Manders are garbage.
Well, Joe, we got 2 wins in a row, so you know what that means.
Bear down, Chicago Bears. Make every play, clear the way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with the might so fearlessly. We'll never forget the way you thrilled the nation with your T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears, and let them know why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois, Chicago Bears. Bear down.
Bear down.